But Shane, this is not your first webinar with us. You did one with us last year. We talked all about commercial conversions, Class MA, all that sort of stuff. And when we started that webinar, you put a really interesting question to me. And I think it was, what have you learned? It was around, what have you learned this week? So I'm going to start by putting the question back to you and ask you, what have you learned this week? Well, we're only on Monday, as you quite rightly reminded me, but what have you learned in the last week that you think some of our viewers, our audience members would really benefit from? And it doesn't have to be personal brand related.
What I have learned in the last week is if you're looking for help or you need help, ask for it and you shall receive to your network.
I love that.
We're all a bit afraid to ask for help sometimes, but when you do, you'll be surprised at what happens.
This is very true. Yeah. And there are lots and lots of kind people out there, and they do rise to the top when you put yourself out there.
Yeah, indeed. I had a developer today who's going through a bad time on a project, and he just reached out for a bit of an agony aunt, and we had an hour's conversation, and he felt better off the back of it. Doesn't quite solve his problem in the project, but I said, look, anytime you just need a chat just to get things off your chest, which you might be bottling up, just speak to someone. And he was really appreciative of that.
Great. So is that sort of giving you a focus for sort of potential challenges that are coming the way?
Indeed.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Love that. That's brilliant. Thanks, Shane. So we've got a pretty catchy headline for this webinar, which is nobody cares about your business. Where did the idea for this talk come about?
Sure. So on my social media, I talk a lot about networking, business development, personal brand. And I have found that the majority of people that I have worked with that have bought from me or I have bought from, I've I've bought and cared more about that relationship over the business itself. I mean, forget the big brands for a second, like Disney and Coca-Cola and Pepsi, because they've been established for like 100 years, right? But it's the businesses that are on this call today, and the even the smaller ones from around. What's the reason you buy into them? It's the trust, isn't it? It's the credibility, and most of the time, everyone on this call does go to networking events, and you most likely buy off these individuals because of them and not so much their businesses. And when I left Coarch, unfortunately for Coarch, clients left Coarch because I left. They followed where I went. So that is why no one actually cares about your business. They more so care about you. But I'll get into that. People do obviously care about businesses. It is a punchy headline, of course, but I'm going to talk about why building a personal brand is quite relevant and key to what you're doing, whether that is you're a property developer or a service provider.
Great. Well, I'm going to hand over to you, Shane, because I think you've got some slides, and Diwali celebrations are kicking off massively in Coventry right now. I don't know whether you can hear the fireworks going off, but it's incredible.
I can't actually, so yeah. So I think I can hear them outside my window though. But yeah,
Amazing. Right, mate. Oh, yeah, if you want to take the stage.
cool. All right, I shall share my screen. So yeah, can everyone see that?
Yeah,
Just before I to you. So yeah, just going to emphasize the point about this is definitely relevant if you are a property developer or a service provider. More so, I would say definitely service providers more so because you're always trying to sell, right? Whereas a developer, I've said to developers before, why do you think this is relevant? Because one, you're trying to find more opportunities. Instead of you going to find opportunities, opportunities will come to you. And the big one is getting finance. So being credible enough that people go to you to give you money to fund your project. So that's why it's relevant for you as a developer as well. Equally as important. So, hence what I said at the beginning about no one cares about your business and nobody wakes up in the morning thinking about your logo. They're most likely, if there's someone thinking about working with you, they're thinking about working with you, and not so much like I'm just seeing a comment actually about hiding behind the logo. People want to work with the individual. So I am going to show you during this session about how a building a personal brand can change that, and I'm living proof of how building and I did this unintentionally just by offering value, going out there, networking, and being the face of CoArch, and that's what I was, the face of CoArch, which is the architect practice, and the face of the developers network, and so on and so forth. So I pulled off some stats. I went on the internet, had a look, just to see if what I was saying was true. And as you can see, 82% of people are more likely to trust a company when it's like senior executives, which is what you all are in your company. You're directors, CEO, co-owners, founders. And when you're more active on social media, they're more likely to buy from you. And to be honest as well, I have seen employees that are building their personal brands for the likes of law firms, interior fit out companies. Some of the people that I follow are building their personal brands without them knowing they're building their personal brands. Personal brand has just been a term that's been coined over the past few years, and they're winning business off the back of it for their companies. 71% of consumers are more likely to buy from trusted brands. We all know that. You guys buy from people you know, like, and trust, more so than people that you don't. And if you don't trust them, it takes a few more touch points for you to get to trust them. That could be online, it could be an in-person conversation, it could be a phone call, it could be an advert, but it takes a couple of those times, right? Think even when Rightmove first came out, like, we were still buying from the papers and going down to the local estate agency. No one bought in from Rightmove on day one. It took a hell of a lot of money and a hell of a lot of marketing. I'm sure, Chris, you can vouch for that because you've been in that space. And people would see it multiple times before they gave Rightmove a go. And then LinkedIn has a business to business institute, and they publish lots of articles on there. And they found that the personal brand does build trust even faster than a company profile. So your personal profile is a way better at getting business than what your company profile is posting. Doesn't mean you stop posting your company profile, but the focus should be on your personal one whilst tagging your company profile. So I'm going to do a bit of a brand experiment of who these individuals are. So just put in the chat these individuals. Let's get some chat. Chris, could you read it out? Because I can't see the chat on here.
Yeah, of
Who
course.
are we getting? Who are people saying?
I literally, there's one guy, and I'm not going to say who it is. In fact, I probably best just so people know who I'm. But yeah, there's one guy I literally watch every single day.
Yeah.
Comes up on my TikTok. So we've got Susanna said Stephen Bartlett.
Yep. Stephen Bartlett. Musk. Yep. Musk. Does
Musk.
anyone know who the bearded chap is on the right?
I'm literally bursting at the seams to say it. So come on, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Well, School. I mean, that's one of his companies that he's invested in. Okay. Musk is my idol. Cool. So the guy in the top right corner is Alex Hormozy, and he is one of the best marketers in the world right
Yeah.
now. Unbelievable. You need to watch his content. It's phenomenal. You'll learn so much. And if you implement it in your business, you'll win, guaranteed. So that's something to take away. So in the chat, I want you to put the name of these individuals' companies. And if anyone can guess the name of Elon Musk company that isn't SpaceX or Tesla without Googling it, I'll give you a prize that I haven't thought of yet. You have a copy of my new book that's released tomorrow. Actually, I forgot about that. Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Oh,
Adam,
Adam's got it. He's straight in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Cool.
To be fair,
Adam,
I
you.
didn't think of Neuralink. The Boring Company was the one I thought of, just 'cause
Yes.
it's such a great name for a company.
Yeah. It's spot on. So cool. So these are their companies. Stephen Bartlett owns Flight Story, which surprisingly not a lot of many people know. They think Diary CEO, but it's the media company Flight Story that owns the Diary CEO. And then Alex Hormoz's is acquisition.com. And then also Boring Company is one of Elon Musk's other companies, which is quite interesting because he sold a load of flamethrowers, didn't he, when he first launched it, which generated lots of capital to then put into building the tunnels in LA. But because of this is a little bit of a slight side story, but because of what he did there, people just loved Elon Musk. He released a flamethrower. It sold out within, I think, under an hour, which gained so much capital to invest in the stuff that he really wanted to do. Genius. So I want you guys just to take note of the followers that these pages have got. 15.7K for acquisition, 12.3 for Flight Story, 123,000 followers for Boring Company. Now let's take a look at these individual profiles, their personal profiles. Look how big in comparison they are. 4.1 million for Alex Hormozy, 4.5 for Stephen Bartlett, 227.5 million followers for Elon. Now you could argue that he owns X now and he got those, but I mean, that's the only platform he's active on. But this just goes to show right here evidence that people follow individuals over companies. And when people see what you're doing, whether that's you're talking about a company you're running or a company you've bought into from recommendations, like if you're recommending a shampoo that's changed your life, there's probably someone watching that story that will also buy that shampoo based off what you've said. And this can have obviously negative and positive influences, like equal. So, very interestingly, when I looked more into some stats, roughly on average, your business brand is 1/20th as powerful as your personal brand. So look at, I've put these two scenarios of someone speaking in a room to about 20 people and someone speaking to thousands of people. This is basically like your LinkedIn I'm just going to pick on LinkedIn, but it's like when you post on your personal profile, it will get hundreds, if not thousands of more impressions than your company profile. So it just goes to show. Attention is the new currency. This is what all the biggest social media influencers are saying right now, is if you can grab people's attention for long enough, they'll follow you and eventually buy from you. And I've just picked out these two examples are people that are doing that phenomenally well at the moment. This chap on the left, he's on TikTok. The names escape me, but what he does, he goes around and just interviews people off the street and asks what they do for a living, how much they get paid per year, and do they think it's fair? And he'll also ask questions like, do you think a nurse should get paid better than a construction worker? Do you think a nurse should get paid better than a politician? And it's really engaging content, and he's grabbing people's attention. And off the back of that now, he's being part of other companies, and he's doing speaking gigs worldwide of people buying into his brand and all the companies that he's launching now with other people. And these guys on the right hand side, this is a company that's launched this year called Salt, and it's like a hydration powder, electrolytes. And these guys met on the dating site Bumble. It didn't work out, but they ended up becoming founders of this business. It's a really cool story, and I've been loving and so invested in their journey of founders. They post their wins, their challenges, their losses, and they're creating a very loyal fan base that every time they release a new tester product or a product ready to market or a bottle that they're released, they're getting sold out. People are buying it, and they've hardly done any marketing. It's just been documenting their journey of what they do. So, like, do give them a follow. Her name is Millie G. You can find her on LinkedIn. And the chap in the back, his name's Henry Papoa or something. But yeah, phenomenal what they're doing. Give them a follow. So it does matter because, as we all know at the moment, like, social media is flooded with AI, and you can tell because it's got the M dashes and it's got the truth is and all this sort of typical stuff you see. And what these guys are doing, they're really showing and they're breaking out of what everyone else is doing. So they're not sounding the same. They're being different. They're being authentic. They are showing that human connection by showing some of the bad times and the challenges, etc., of what it is being a business owner and growing a business is difficult. And people are buying more so into journeys and stories now instead of just the product itself, because the product will sell when you grow what you are doing and the journey you are showing. Obviously, you have to do this as well as what you are selling, of course. And just want to make sure the point to get across here is we're not all doing this to be insta famous, as the saying goes. We're doing this to create value. And I wanted to give this example as we're not doing this to get on red carpets, because there's no longevity in doing this for the wrong reasons. I'm sure some of you know this chap on the right hand side, Sam Norris from Grand Union Finance. He has posted content consistently for years. He does his Monday Mortgage Melt on Instagram Live. He's done that for years since COVID. He has loads of videos on YouTube on how to get development finance, what's a bridging loan, buy to let mortgages, updates. He's really geeky when it comes to finance, but he offers so much value that I sat down for breakfast with him a few weeks ago, and he said most of his leads now are coming from TikTok, just from the consistency of posting what he does. So this really works. So it's your reputation when you're not in the room. So, oh yeah, here's Chris and I at the property developer show. Thought you might like that.
Oh, friends.
Friends, property friends. So it's you want people to be referring you and being almost your like non-executive salespeople. Or for instance, if you are a developer and you need a site and you tell people consistently when you're at events or when you're online, I'm looking for a plot of land that will fit 4 new builds on, and you consistently send that message out, there'll be people in the background that are consistently going to events that soon as they hear something that's remotely close to what you need, they will most likely send that to you. And also when you're building your personal brand for good reasons and you are offering value, then you want people to be speaking positive things behind your back. And that can then again amplify what you're doing. So just as a scenario, I don't know if anyone has been to an event before and someone's either come up to you and says, I feel like I know you from the stuff you've been posting online, or vice versa, where you spotted someone at an event and you've been following them online for a while, and you go up to them and or you think to yourself, I feel like I already know them. That is your personal brand speaking without that person being in the room, because you've seen them so many times appear online. And when you are in person, more so than online, on this second point, it's how you make people feel. So it's not what you say sometimes in the message. When you're speaking to people, or the message you're putting across, it's how that person feels, which leaves more of a lasting impression than what it is you say. Because people sometimes forget what people say, but it's how you make people feel, which aids to building that personal brand of offering that value. And of course, it's got to be consistent. So I'm sure you've all got stories. You've definitely all got a voice. And I'm sure all of you have testimonials, whether that is you've sold a home that you've built, or you've got proof that you've done that with photographs, or you're a service provider that's got a happy client and you've got that documented somewhere in a WhatsApp message or a LinkedIn recommendation. You've got the proof, get it posted. So I've made something called the connector framework. So feel free to take photos of this, write it down and implement it, or make your own one up. So clarity, content, connection, and credibility. The clarity element, know who you are, what you stand for, and your core values, basically your message that you want to get across to people. And then number 2 is how you communicating that effectively and consistently. And then the connection. Building relationships is so important, but doing that in person is one thing, but it can be done online too. It's a little bit more difficult, but it goes back to when people see you at events where they've seen you so much online, you've built that connection already. When people come up to you and go, I feel like I already know you, because you've done it online without you even knowing it. And of course, the credibility, you're backing it all up with the proof of what you've done by posting it. So to deep dive into these points, and maybe just spend a minute now, if you've got your phone next to you, just open up your profile and say, well, if someone looked at your online presence, would they know what you stand for? What is your story, your mission, your target audience? Who are you selling to? Are you showing your values? Like, what is your message? If someone went on your Instagram profile or your LinkedIn profile and they scrolled within the first 30 seconds of them looking, is it clear what it is you do? And if you're questioning yourself, or maybe if you're unsure, get someone who will honestly, brutally tell you to go on profile and say, is my message clear of what I'm doing? And if they say something remotely different from what you want them to say, then it's time to just relook at what you're doing and restructure your profile. Do a bit of an audit. It'll pay dividends. And then the content. So document, don't overthink. So this isn't about being perfect here. It's just getting it out there instead of thinking, oh, should I post it? Should I not? Just post it. There's someone online that I follow on LinkedIn. She's awesome. She's called Amelia Sordell. I think Chris, have you seen her content? She's awesome at what she does. Her mantra, and excuse my French here, just fucking post it. That is her thing. She's got it in a title. She's got it in her bio, and that is a mantra. She's like, just fucking post it. Like, stop overthinking because you are holding yourself back. Teach your lessons. What have you learned? If you've learned something that day, or you've learned something in business or within what your product is, get it posted. I always share my wins, my losses, and mistakes of when I'm networking. I'm not embarrassed to do so. Builds character. And then, yeah, because it's your personal profile, you can mix, in my opinion, professional insights with what you're doing personally as well. There's no harm in that. And then the connection. So when you're online, comment on people's things that if you like something and you've watched a video the whole way through, just drop a comment on it. Like it will build that connection slowly with that person you just commented on. And try your best to make it meaningful. And this one has massively paid me dividends, is introduce others and become a connector, just without expecting anything in return. But just make sure on that one that you ask permission sometimes with that other person, because that has landed me in trouble once before when I didn't ask for the intro. And then if you want to go deeper, send a direct message and add value to someone. Now, I appreciate here you might DM someone on LinkedIn because you want to work with them, but you just want to add that value first, and they might ignore you. There's a high chance you're going to get ignored and ghosted. That's just social media for you, because people get bombarded with messages daily. But if you can offer something meaningful or something catchy, you're more than likely to get a response over not than just going straight with a sale. Never going with a sale ever, because you'll just get blanked most of the time. And keep the conversations flowing as well at events, and not at just posting content. You've got to do an amalgamation of all of them. Just think about where these connections are going. And of course, the credibility. Everything that I've just mentioned, get that posted. That will build on the other three. And then you can create your own framework if that helps you as well. So I'm going to show you how I've implemented the connector framework. So this is my message. I'm passionate about creating genuine connections through networking and business development that help people learn, grow, and succeed in life and business. Now, Chris, you can call me out on this. Would you agree with that statement, or do you think that's bullshit, what I've just said?
Yeah, you lead from the front with that. That's what has been so. I don't like giving you showering all this praise in a public setting, but yeah, you literally lead with that, and that has given us a, a set of values to fall back on with UK Homes Network. And because you're always looking for that genuine connection, and actually you are so much more focused on people's lives and what makes them tick personally, it reminds us to keep us grounded as a business, that we should always be looking to assist those people in their lives, not just in their business. So yeah, totally vouch for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, massively appreciate that. I promise I didn't pay Chris to say that. No, I appreciate it. And then, of course, I post a lot of content. So the content that I do post, it's not just the businesses that I run, like the Developers Network, UK Homes Network, Real Visuals. Like, I still post that content too, but the majority of my content is around networking, is about personal brand, is about business development tips and tricks. And then obviously I love networking. I'm a connector at heart, and I do love building genuine relationships. Like, it's very fulfilling. You get a lot out of it. And then the credibility. I've got a website now, and on the website I've got testimonials from people that have left me reviews on LinkedIn, etc., or WhatsApp messages. So it's just showing that what I'm doing is impacting people's lives and businesses, and I want to show that. So if I'm working with people in the future, they can see that I'm genuine. So this is the stuff that I post, just to give you an example. It's clear what I'm doing is a mix of developers network on there, and then some of my content on networking. And then, of course, the building relationship part. I do lots of events. I run my own as well as attend a lot. And then the proof's in the pudding with the testimonials. Got Tony Walker over here. There you go.
There you go.
Mr. Help Build.
He's
There we
got,
go.
he's really good at that. He's in terms of sort of Tony's value and the way he's trying to lead with his personal brand. He's definitely a good example of someone, and he's always looking to give rather than to take in terms of what he's putting out there.
Yeah, massively agree with that with Tony. He's come leaps and bounds since I first met him, and with how he offers value first always, and off the back of that, he's won clients and formed great partnerships with the likes of UK Homes Network.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, just to recap on the connector framework: clarity, content, connection, credibility, and implement that consistently over the long term, and you'll win. So how are we benefiting that to our businesses then? And what does that do for our businesses? So I can only speak, of course, on experience and seen other people that I've coached, if you will, work for them. It attracts inbound leads because when you're consistently posting about what you do, and when you become that key person of influence, if you like, and knowing what you like, if you're an interior designer, stager, architect, planning consultant, and you become the expert, and you're the only one posting about what you know, you're going to attract inbound leads, and it will shorten sales cycles. So when I did all that networking and in person and webinars in 2023, I hardly went to any networking event in 2024 because of the amount of inbound leads. Therefore, the sales cycles are, when I thought, oh, it's going to dry up any minute, it didn't. The whole 2024, I mean, we grew from 3 staff to 11 staff in 7 months. It was insane. I didn't know how to cope, but it worked. You do build authority. So yeah, becoming the key person of influence. You build authority within your industry and in your niche. It definitely attracts better talent, and I'm talking about staff. So when the time is right, people will come knocking at your door to work with you. We had people inundated that wanted to become architects and work with us at CoArch, and even like colleges, etc., and universities for internships and things like that. And I do believe it does increase the perceived value of what you do as well. Because if, let's say, for instance, you've got a planning consultant that's posting what they're doing consistently, and they're the expert, and they're the go-to, they're the knowledge hub of anything to do with planning, but someone that isn't, the person who is at the forefront of everyone's screens or in person, they can charge more because like you trust to go to them where you wouldn't trust someone that you've never spoke to before and you found on a Google search. So you can increase your prices, and it is difficult to do so. I'm not going to say it's easy to do that, but you can do it. Creating assets is important on top of building your personal brand. So an asset could be ebooks. I'm talking free ebooks, mini courses, creating templates, going on podcast, stuff like what I'm doing now with this webinar. It's recorded, creating clips. So if you go on a podcast, slice it and dice it into clips, get it on your social media. Free workshops, frameworks as lead generation to get into your businesses. Even if you're a developer, you can do a workshop on how you completed a development and invite some potential investors or people that know investors to a small private dinner with a projector screen and show your project off. It's I've seen people do it. Works. Communities, the Developers Network, UK Homes Network, created a fantastic community. Chris and David have over the past nearly 2 years now, and now they're going into the live events. It's working great, and memberships too. I mean, we've seen Property and Poppadoms on what they've done as well. recorded talks, podcast guides, systems. So creating all these assets and intellectual property will feed into your businesses and also amplify your personal brand. I see people in the AI space doing this very well. They'll create like 1,000 chat GPT prompts free PDF guide, goes into their email funnel and then goes into their school, if you like, Alex or Moses company. This photo is terrible. I appreciate that. So chat GPT did me dirty here. It's so awful.
It took me about 4 seconds to work out what was going on there. I was like, who's that?
Yeah, I haven't quite gotten TEDx yet, but it will happen. I'm going to go do a TED talk at some point in my life. That's on the cards. But my point here is like it goes back to like it's not about being perfect. Imperfection beats being invisible. Just remember this quote: imperfection beats being invisible. Because if you're invisible, how are people going to know who you are, where you are, and where to buy from you? That's why imperfect it wins. And sometimes, you know what? You might have competitors in your space that are winning work because they're shouting the loudest, but you know full well that they can't deliver the best. You need to be up in your game to be shouting the loudest for you to win those clients. Sorry you had to see that image. So I've got an action plan for everyone, and you can feel free to start this whenever you like. But it's just to show you that this stuff works. So over the next 4 weeks per week, feel free to take a photo. It'd be awesome if you could do 3 posts a week, do 5 meaningful comments on someone's post. That could be on any pick a platform. 2 direct messages that add value to someone, and that could be if you're, for instance, like CGI company, we could do a free virtual stage image or something like that to an estate agent, or offering a bit of advice or support to help someone if you've seen someone that's asked for help. Do a story with a lesson behind it, and do a proof post of where you've worked for a client or you've delivered a project successfully, and do that every week. And I've left a little note at the bottom. So before you start this challenge, go onto your whatever social media platform you use and you go into your settings and find the insights. If you can't find the insights, Google how to find them around your settings and just screenshot your insights, your impressions, your engagement. And then after 4 weeks, go back and just see what it's done for you. Just try that experiment and see what happens. And notice to see if anyone has said, I've seen you post a lot more recently. There's this guy that I've worked with who's a property investor, and he's looking to raise finance more, and I've helped him audit his profile and also build some PDF guides on finding the best property deals and how to work with the best sources, etc. And now he's generated so many leads off the back of that to send all these deals to, and he posts twice a day now, which I didn't think he would ever do. If I'm honest, I thought he was probably going to post 3 times a week, but he's really leading into it. But his issue was he told me that he didn't have the confidence to do it, but now he's doing it, and every post he posts, it does get better. So it works. So nobody cares about your business until they know who you are, and that's the point. Tar, very much. Any questions?
Love that. I was absolutely held by your every word on that, Shane. There's so much value there in terms of setting out a structure for your day and how you post, how you promote yourself. But most of all, it's about delivering value. Guys, if you've got questions, I'd love you to put them in the chat. We'll do a bit of a live Q&A with Shane.
Cool. I'm going to start with Lily. She posted, do you think it takes a certain personality, though? Your red star blaze, because I'm a blaze in the wealth dynamics. You're absolutely right, Lily. In the wealth dynamics that love to be talking and posting. So, yeah, for me, you're absolutely right. It is easier for me to do. I cannot deny that. However, it still doesn't mean you should not be posting on your socials. So it might take you a little bit more take and practice, but practice makes progress. So it might be the most uncomfortable thing ever, but if you practice it, which is what to be honest, when I first started recording videos, I was awful, and I'd be like 51 takes until I was remotely happy with what I was doing. And it wasn't easy for me to begin with. And my co-host Steve at Developers Network, he hates that stuff, and it's awkward for him. And he's been doing it for 2 years now, and he still hates it, and it's still awkward for him. But it's bought him things that he wouldn't have got if he hadn't have done it. So yeah, I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy to do, but what I will say is there are ways for you to do it, and it might take 50 goes originally, but once you know how to do it. In fact, I'm going to tell you, if you can go off script. So I use an app depending if I want to say something that's quite long and get it correct. The app is called Elegant Teleprompter, and the teleprompt can go on your phone whilst you're recording, so you can read off the screen. So that helps to, so if you like stumbling words, that can help with content recording. And definitely lean into AI as well to help come up with ideas of what's relevant to your industry. So I do appreciate. I don't know, are you a Steel or are you a Tempo?
I'm just going to
Lily, yeah, go on.
show you. I don't know if you can see that, but that is just from the one video. There is
Oh yeah, so loads of
34 different takes just on the one video that goes out. So it doesn't matter how many videos you do, you're always going to be sort of doing outtakes and you're going to stumble over it. Half the time, I'm either dehydrated or I haven't eaten anything, but I still try and press on anyway. And it takes till I've got to the 34th take of recording that video when I work it out. But it's something you said was really interesting on the teleprompter, because I've got one on my phone, and um, there is a danger that you can sound too scripted, which is what a lot of sort of um, people say online, is that if you're reading straight off a script. And there is a really interesting tip that I heard, that was that you need to learn how to speak, how to write how you speak. So if you talk completely in a colloquial tone, like if I said to you, all right, mate, how's it going? That's the way I speak to you when we're talking. You need to write down your script as if you were talking so that it sounds natural. And then once you've mastered that tone of voice, when you put it into the teleprompter, it comes off really, really naturally, because it's how you would sound as you're talking.
Yeah, that comes with practice, and you are right. That comes because even when I started using teleprompter, I looked back at my content. I was like, it does sound a little bit scripted. So it's just being conscious of your words. But again, it takes progress. I'm going to show you this post. So this is a still image with just a bit of text over it. With some, I mean, this says, "Be the only one that I remember when the deal's on the table." So you can just write something like that and then go into a bit more detail of what that post means in the post. So if you want to start out doing content like that, that is one way, because you can post that as a reel, which is a video, and then put some trending music on it. But it gets you out there. If you got some photos of you, just to get out there. And what else did you say? So yeah, the shifting shares guy. You said you don't like your voice. I'm from Birmingham. Like, I've got the world's shittiest accent. That's something you just have to get over. And I'm very much used to my voice now. And originally I could not stand it. It was so cringe. It's something you just get over it. You just do. Yeah, you just have to get over that one, unfortunately. And even like when you say ers and ums, that's natural. So I do that a hell of a lot less than I used to. But when I first started out, there was so many r's, ums, and ums. I ended up just leaving them in, because at the same time, it's more natural sounding and people can relate to you more. But power's in the pause. Remember that when you do talk like this and you pause like this, makes you sound a little bit more like you know what you're talking about. And maybe I might come across a little bit more intelligent rather than a brummy twat. so, right, what other questions have we got?
What software do you use to add scripts or edit in video?
I use free software called CapCut on my phone. It's a free one to use. I also outsource some of my video editing as well, if I've got a lot to do. What else have we got? So there's CapCut, and then there's the teleprompter one. Sorry, someone asked about the teleprompter one again. It's called, yeah, Elegant Teleprompter. So I used like two apps on that one, and then you can add the captions on CapCut.
So Lily's just put Vin Gang in the, or if Vin, I can't pronounce his last name. Vin is the guy who I got the idea, the tip from,
Oh
with
yeah,
writing down your script as if you were talking and then repeating it back to yourself. That's the guy.
yes, yeah. Oh, he's awesome. Actually, he's I've learned actually quite a lot from him, and when I watch a lot of his content about just slowing down and thinking about what I'm going to say, and he actually was an inspiration in getting me to actually be conscious about my ums and ahs, especially when I'm speaking in front of people at a networking event in a room. Mm. Yeah, CapCut's easy to add. It's a button, and then it auto detects what you're saying, and you can go in and just edit things if they're incorrect, or you want to just remove the ums and ahs as well, so you can actually remove them. Are these slides going to be sent out, Chris? John's asking.
We don't typically send out slides, but you can share them in UK Homes Network after if you want.
Cool. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
do
if
that.
you want to post them directly, you can upload them as a document into UK Homes Network, and people
Yeah,
can
we'll do
can.
that, John. So make sure you're on the app. We'll get you on the app.
There you go.
What else we got? Any more questions?
So, how can, obviously I love sort of promoting UK Homes Network, and I am going to do a shameless plug. Shane,
Yeah.
how can some of our members who are on the call tonight and some people that haven't joined yet, how can they implement some of these steps? Because some of the research that we've done, it can take sort of 12 months to grow a personal brand on LinkedIn with consistency showing up, you know, with UK Homes Network, based on there being no algorithms and being direct to end user in terms of the post that it's going out to, we believe that you can actually generate a personal brand in 3 months. So what sort of these tips would you apply to UK Homes Network and trying to find your ideal customer in the platform?
So figure out what it is you want first and foremost. Is it more clients? Is it finance? Is it deals? And then planning and writing content around that. And it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. So if it is finding more deals, so if I wanted to find more deal, I would do a mixture of posts. I would do a post to say exactly what I'm looking for. And then if I have done a deal in the past, I would write a short post about that deal that I've done. And I would say, I would love to find more deals like this one that generate great returns for my investors. That's how I would do that post. And I would do that probably, I wouldn't do the same post 3 times a week. I would chop and change it, slightly reword it, make it a bit different. And I offer value for the post as well. So even if you think that no one's going to like this post because everyone already knows what GDV means, you could do a post on property abbreviations, because there might be people out there that don't actually know what some of these abbreviations mean, like GDV. So they might be too ashamed to say. But the key for this, you're not going to build a personal brand if you post once and then don't post again for another month. It's just not going to work. So it's doing that, as well as when you go to networking events, it's leaving a lasting impression on the people you speak to by offering value first. And the way I do that is, and I've started to implement it recently, it's had an impact on the people I speak to, is ask different questions, engaging questions. So instead of asking or saying stuff like good weather outside, isn't it? Or terrible weather out, like, why are we asking these questions? They're awful. Like, should be asking questions like, if I could speak to someone at this event that I find this evening that would be able to work with you, or it would add value to your business or life right now, what would they look like? and it gets that person thinking, and it shows you've got a genuine interest into what they're doing and to help them. And the second question that's worked very well: what challenges have you got at the moment? And is there anything I can do to help, whether that's in business or networking, or is there a certain person you'd like to meet? Like, I'm a well connected individual. If I've got someone in my network that can help what you're doing, let me know. I'll see if I can help. And it really gets the brain ticking in the other person. And it's like every time I've asked that question, that person said to me, "Oh, that's a great question," and it's been a difficult one for them to answer, but it makes it because of that reason. It leaves a bit of an impact on that conversation. So, but doing that as well as posting online consistently is simply building your personal brand. And people have been building their personal brand for over 100 years. As I said, it's just being coined as building a personal brand. Walt Disney, personal brand. Richard Branson, he's associated with adventure. People buy into his products because it's associated with fun, customer service, adventure. I mean, we'll park Virgin Media for a minute, but I use them. But yeah, there you go. So Richard Branson's more famous. He is. Yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised you've managed to be on the call for this long, Shane, with your Virgin Media connection.
I know. Well, I've sorted it out now. Actually, I gave him a bollocking last week. So got a new router now. So yeah, posting times actually. So Lily, you've put 8 p.m. Insta, LinkedIn. So honestly, it's so frustrating. It consistently changes. So for instance, the way I would say to try your best to tackle this is when you try week one, post certain times, say, right, I'm going to post it to, because all these tools as well have built-in schedulers. So you can schedule your content ahead. So if you create it all on a Sunday afternoon, you can schedule it all on a Sunday night, as an example, right? And once you've scheduled it, have a look the week after to see what were the times, your best times you got the engagement. And then week two, do the same and then compare it. And then maybe week three, change it up a bit. But it's about adjusting. It's always going to be adjusting. So some of the times that I tend to post is during the morning times, during people's commute. Lunchtime sometimes works well, but sometimes it flops. And then other times during people's evenings as well, like 7 p.m., 8 p.m., even 9 p.m. sometimes when people are like scrolling in bed before they go to bed tends to work quite well. So just adapting to who's your audience. If your audience is in America, the best time is not to probably post during 9 a.m. UK time because it's midnight over there. So it's bearing that in mind and also assessing what time you're posting and just re-looking at it and adjusting.
There has been some studies done specifically not about when you're posting, but what type of content you're posting when. So if you imagine when you get up first thing in the morning, your attention span is at the highest point it will be all day. So if you're going to do long form post texts, to elaborate a story and talk about, a particular scenario, that should go out first thing in the morning. But if you're leaning towards more video content when people's attention span has dropped throughout the day, people are going to be a lot more receptive to short form video content in the evening. So if you are posting video content, you might actually benefit from doing it around 6, maybe 5 o'clock, where people are sort of looking to switch off for the day and find that escapism.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. It's it is posted around those times and just like trialing it and assessing it to see when it works essentially. I think there's a few more questions coming. Oh, yeah, complimentary signed copy of my book. Yes, that's not a problem. Are you talking about 32 at 32 or Unbreakable Wealth? I'm assuming it's 32 at 32. But yeah, I'll put my email in the chat if anyone wants to email me anything. But Lily, if you want a signed copy, just let me know. And if you're coming to UK Homes Network live, I'll give it you personally. So Mandy, you've put how often should you post a week? I post every single day. Sometimes I don't post on a Saturday, but I post every day. I think the more the better, really. Sometimes I'll post twice a day. I find that sometimes on LinkedIn in particular, if you post more than twice, it tends to not do well. It doesn't like it, but it used to. But again, trying to keep up with the algorithm is so difficult. It's best thing to do is follow people that are literally that is their job, like a LinkedIn specialist. Find them on LinkedIn and find out what they're doing, and if they suggest certain times, give it a go and follow it, and then keep note. What else we got? Do you think sharing your story could alienate some potential clients? It depends on what that story exactly is. But let's say, for instance, if that story was your why and the reason you started that business, I don't see why that's a reason not to share it. Like I would buy into that. If someone said this happened in my life, like I had a bad accident and this is what promoted me to start. I mean, if you look at like Dragon's Den, sometimes Dragon's Den, right, you'll see it where the business is not great, but the dragons buy into the individual because of their story. They back the entrepreneur and not the business. So I would say if you're confident enough, then yeah, feel free to post your story. If you personally don't think it's going to alienate clients. But then again, ask yourself this question. If a client's going to alienate you because you've brave enough to share your story and why you've got into business, for instance, would you want to work with that client anyway? That's what I'd say.
There is a science to it as well. So, Shane, you touched on this earlier on in your presentation, and we talked about SEO and social media and obviously getting your website ranked. And when Google was first set up, they set three defining principles on why your website should rank higher over your competitors. And the first one is, so it's called EAT, education, authority, trust. So if you're educating your market, if you're educating your customers on your product and the wider industry, then that's hitting one of the criterias. If you're an authority within your industry, so
Yeah.
you're a thought leader, you're an expert, you're sharing information, then that's a second category. And then the third and final category is trust. So if your customers trust you and they're leaving positive reviews, if they're buying into your story, if they understand what it is that you're, where it is you come from and the reason why you're so important to the industry, then they will rank your website higher from that content that you've published on your website. Now, when they launched social media platforms, they basically copy and pasted the same algorithm to determine where organic posts rank. And by Susanna sharing her story, she's hitting that trust criteria. So she's more likely to rank higher or rank more frequently in people's feeds on social media. So if you do feel comfortable sharing your story, that is something that people will naturally buy into, not from an just from an authentic point of view, but also from a trust point of view, because you're prepared to put that information out there and let people see behind the curtain, which is what Shane quite rightly pointed out to is how you build your personal brand when they can find that relationship with you.
Yeah, and don't forget, guys, that being vulnerable is actually a superpower, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there'll be some people that will disagree with that, but I've found that when people have been vulnerable online and saying that they're going through hardship or whatever, in fact, it's when like your closest people or even people that have been just following your journey but have never commented or liked on anything will engage and they'll want to help because we're all human at the end of the day. Most of us do genuinely want to help other people. Mm.
that's such a valid point. 100%. Have we got any more questions?
What was that one? So I posted something that was a very basic medical thing. Odd comment on you that was able to link it back to. Wonder what that was then. Hmm. I wouldn't say having a website, not having a website damage your business, but there's that it's almost like you're missing a portion of your IP and your profile and your brand and your business. So why wouldn't you have one? I mean, are you talking about a Susanna Kelly one, or you talking about your staging company? I'm surprised you don't have a business. I'm actually really surprised at that. Well, let's say yeah, you may lose clients which you don't know that you've lost if they just want to check out your website and previous works. Yeah, I know, aren't we all? We're all busy. I know. So yeah, I that's why I decided to have even a personal website as well as business websites, because if someone wants to scope me out as well as some of the stuff that I'm posting on social media, I mean, just take a moment now, if we got like a minute, search, and this is actually, in fact, I'm surprised at myself. I didn't put this in this talk. What happens when you Google your name, and then if you just Google my name, what comes up? It's now that Instagram and are being, what's the correct term, Chris? That it's SEO. Google SEO is picking them up, isn't it? Now your Instagram posts.
Yeah.
So Google starts to build a picture around what you're posting. So it's not just your website now; it's picking up your Instagram post, your LinkedIn post, your blogs, your articles. So I mean, a funny one. My friend, his name's Harry Shipman. And if anyone knows who Harold Shipman is, he was the UK's serial killer of the 90s, killed his patients, speaking of doctors. So he can't really build a good personal brand at that moment. So he's got a little bit of, he's got a lot harder work that cuts out than we do. Harold Shipman. Yeah, yeah. So he's got a bit harder. Bless him. I know he's a poor guy. So I'm just going to what Lily said here. So sometimes try to match up what I do, teaching doctors and lessons learned, similarities in property lessons as our story, teaching doctors and picking out medical errors on a daily basis. I mean, yeah, I'd still be posting that sort of stuff because it links back in, doesn't it? And that's what I like that. I like when you can compare things and they have analogies. And I mean, I don't know what the person posted, but yeah. But yeah, like one thing that would be a massive testament to your personal brand is to Google your name and what comes up. And forget your Harry Shipmans of the world for one moment, but like I come up as an author on Google quite interestingly, and even ChatGPT as well. ChatGPT, your name, like go to one where you create, maybe try creating a new profile, or go to Gemini or something and try asking like who is this person, but maybe if it's not specific, put in the property industry and see what it gathers about you, and that's quite an interesting test. And of course, yes, UK Homes Network.
So, Shane, before we wrap up for the evening,
Harry needs
what
a new
is our
name.
homework? What have you set us to do?
Yeah, so there you go.
So,
We want to see the results. So we feel you don't have to share them publicly, but if you want to DM me or DM Chris or email me your results, so let's get a before shot of your insights and your impressions on LinkedIn, etc., etc. And let's even Facebook as a professional dashboard now, and let's get your insights afterwards, and let's see if we can get some spikes. And who knows, in that 4 weeks, if you really push it hard, you can do more than this if you want to. This is just baseline. Who knows? If you get a client out of it, amazing, happy days. Or you get finance out of it or a deal, happy days.
100%. Shane, it's been fantastic. I've loved tonight's session. This is a subject that really fascinates me, and I'm always looking to grow my personal brand and learn more. You've given me so much advice over the last year that's really helped push me further. And particularly, we were at an event on, was it Thursday night? And just because you were there, I was feeling down, run down, couldn't push myself any further, and you were able to sort of make sure that there was a little bit of competition, that we were working the room together, and that we were furthering our personal brand. And you've really helped me out with that. So yeah, thank you very much.
What was our competition, Chris? Just for the
Right.
audience, we challenged
So
ourselves. This is a great thing if you would go to an event with a friend. By the way, try it on Wednesday if you come into the event.
no, don't try what Shane did to me. Okay. So basically what it was is Shane came up with an idea because I was shattered. I just drove 4 hours down from Newcastle to meet him at this event. And he said, why don't we pick for someone for each other to go and network with? And I went, do you know what? That sounds like a great idea. I said, Shane, what are you going to talk about? Are you going to talk about real visuals? Are you going to talk about TDN? Are you going to talk about UK Homes Network? He says, oh, I'm just going to connect with people. I says, great. Okay. So there was a really good looking group of people in the corner. One guy, like 6'4", ponytail,
Dude,
super booted. There was some women with him as well, and some very successful looking people. And I picked them for Shane. And Shane walked over, and I'm sure you've already got business out of it. And then he said to me, Chris, I've picked someone for you. So you're going to talk about UK Homes Network, are you? Yeah. So there was a group of people, and they must have been in their 80s, stood in the corner, and Shane pointed to them. And I was like, Shane, they're in their 80s. I've got to go and talk to them about a new social media app. And he went, yeah, go on then. I'll see you in a bit. So yeah, if you're doing that, just be kind to them and let them know that they've got to, obviously try and make a connection with those people. So yeah, it's good fun. But Shane, I've still not lived it down. I did feel like you threw me under the bus for that one.
Yeah, don't do that challenge with me because I will trump your selection every time. If you're brave enough, if you're brave enough on Wednesday, let's do it. Come and have a chat.
Awesome. Shane, thank you so much for tonight. Really, really appreciate it. Please do share your slides in the network, in UK Homes Network. And guys, let us know what you've learned tonight. Share some of your posts in UK Homes Network. I'll be checking the comments to see if you're commenting on each other's posts. So please do make sure you do that. We have got a webinar coming up in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be joined by Paul Conway. Paul has set up an incredible business that basically tracks and monitors the building safety, particularly around HMOs. And he's going to be sharing some of us, because it's Halloween themed, he's going to be sharing HMO horror stories with us. And we've got him booked in to do that. If you want to find out more details for that, you can find it in the events tab of UK Homes Network. And then towards the end of the month or the start of the month, we have got Ian Jackson joining us. Now, if you don't know Ian used to run the Belfast chapter of the Property Investor Network. He is a very, very successful entrepreneur within his own right in telecoms, and he transitioned after he retired into property and built a massive property portfolio. He's going to explain to us why Northern Ireland is the buy-to-let hotspot of the British Isles at the moment. Northern Ireland is having an absolute boom with buy-to-lets, while the rest of England, Wales, Scotland are all talking about buy-to-lets being dead. So if you want to join us for Ian's session, where he's going to completely reveal the secret market that's going on over in Northern Ireland, then please do make sure you check that out in the events tab. But thank you, Shane. I really, really appreciate it. We're going to see a lot of each other over the next week. So I'll see you in Manchester.
Before you go, I think I've been chatting to the hosts and panelists this whole time when I put my email. So I've just dropped my email there for everyone. So people that asked for a free signed copy, I've put my email there. Email me, but also put in the email if you are coming to UK Homes Network Live, and just so I can bring it with me. So I'll just leave that on for 30 seconds, if that's all right, Chris.
Yeah, of course.
Cool. I've been chatting to host and panelists this whole time. I don't even know if people have been seeing it, but I've put it to everyone instead. One new message. That's amazing. There we go. Cool. Yeah, take a screen.
All right, guys.
All right, brilliant.
You've got those details. Shane will be in UK Homes Network after, so if you need him, just drop him a direct message. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys all very, very soon.
Brilliant. Ciao for now. Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Bye bye.